Man, we're lucky. We're blessed this morning. Loving the outcome. 25 minutes after 8 on Life FM on the morning wake up. Blessed to have in studio a poet, a Christian poet. Her name is Sena, Steele. She's driven up State Highway 1 this morning just to be with us, poor thing. She's landed in Auckland. She should have just kept on driving and gone way up north. Anyway, she stopped into Auckland from the Waikato. She left early this morning before we even got on air, and she's just arrived. And we just want to say welcome, Sena. Good morning.
Kia ora. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for taking the time out to come up this morning. All right, so you're a poet. We just want to let's start from the beginning because we're going to get to a book launch that's happening this coming Saturday. You're an author, accomplished. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does all that start, like putting pen to paper and becoming an author?
Yeah, good question. Well, it was quite a long journey to get here, but for me, my journey with writing just started with journaling. So it started as a completely private venture that over time just became more and more public. And I think a few years ago, I decided that I was going to write a book and commit to writing a book because it had been my dream since I was a little girl. And when I sat down to start writing, poetry is basically what spilled out. And so a poetry book was born, and then since then I've been writing poems.
So, I mean, words and communicating is obviously your thing, right? Like, so you teach language and culture at East West College. And at what point with poetry do you abandon all the things they taught you at school about poetry? Because when I was learning about poetry, it was all, it's like the dog goes down the street, finds something to eat. Yeah. It's eating meat. Like there's rhyme structures and, you got all that kind of stuff. But then as you become like a proper poet, you don't do any of that stuff. Like all of that's gone. And it's what are the rules on poetry when you get to an advanced level? Because all of that basic stuff seems to disappear.
Well, I think that's the beauty of poetry, and I think that's what actually attracts me to it, is that there aren't really any rules.
Yeah.
Especially with like modern poetry, you can kind of leave traditional conventions at the door and just write. And I think there's like real beauty in that, because I think, I love grammar and I love words and English, but I don't know, there's something about just being able to pour your heart out unhindered by the conventions of grammar that, I don't know, I really enjoy that.
Can I read you out a poem that Bjorn wrote?
There is no poem that I wrote.
You wrote a poem this morning.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh,
read
wow.
it, please.
Yeah,
Whatever. Well, I'd love to hear it.
Can you just embrace this for what it is?
Okay, I can't promise how I will
We write
react,
poems
but
every morning.
I'll be reacting alongside
Okay.
you, so
And
let's hear
he
what
wrote
I
this.
have apparently written.
He wrote this morning.
Okay.
If you're driving with L plates, you don't wear them with pride. With his name up in lights in the middle, it resides. I wasn't in the 5, but I do have the name. I can sort out an animal if it's loose on the plane. That's his poem this morning. What do you...
Wow.
I actually did write that. I did write that. That is a riddle that rhymes. I guess when you read it in that voice, it sounds like a poem.
We have turns of writing things every morning, right? Actually,
Thank you.
I just wanted to bring that up. However, can we go back to your journal writing for a second?
Yes.
Because you said it started with you writing your own personal private journal. And then at some stage, you decided to go public.
Yes,
Was
not
it
with
your
my journal.
No, right, no, not with your journal. But was that a decision, like with your writing, was that a decision you made, or somebody maybe tapped you on the shoulder and said, Sena, I think there's something else here for you?
Yeah, well, it wasn't another person, because I hadn't shown anyone my journal. And it was really, my journal was, this was when I was going through a challenging season in life. And so it was really just quite raw and just my prayers and tears before the Lord. But I did find that as I started writing, I really felt like God was stirring up this desire, like really strong desire to write, and to write in a way that would encourage others. And so, I don't know, I think I just came across something on social media, like a ministry that was accepting submissions, not for poetry, just for kind of devotional style writing. And so I submitted some writing to them, and they picked it up, and I started writing for them regularly. And it was through that I just, the desire just grew and grew, and I could see the way it was like really impacting and encouraging others, and so just kept going
That's
with
awesome. You got a little nudge.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Well, poetry very biblical, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
in the Psalms,
Yes.
you know. How many men are poets? Do you get a lot of men that are doing poetry? Well, not really.
I have found like in the writing journal, like when I've been doing like workshops and that kind of thing, that there are actually a lot of guys who enjoy writing. It hasn't necessarily been something that has been encouraged of men particularly, but I think there's a lot of people who have a strong desire to get their emotions and their stuff out on paper and in words. So I think there are a lot of hidden male poets.
Hidden poets.
Can you stick around for a little bit, Sena? Because we want to catch up with you around this book launch that you've got this weekend, but also around where do you start when it comes to sort of writing, you know, and changing your mind and all that sort of stuff, because there must be a bit of a process with your writing. So stand by. We're going to catch up with Sena, more about her book launch that's coming up this Saturday and more about her. She's a poet. She's got a book launch that's coming Saturday. We'll get onto that in just a second. But we're going to talk about your actual poetry book that we're celebrating this morning. It's called Soul Scribbles, but it isn't your first.
No.
No.
No, it is not.
You've done this before.
Yes.
All right, what was the first book?
So the first one is a book called Flourishing, and it's also a collection of poems. And so when you look at them side by side, Flourishing and Soul Scribbles, you can definitely tell that they are sister books.
Okay.
So very, just collections of poetry that kind of read like modern day personal psalms, really. But I'd say that Soul Scribbles, the second one, it kind of has woven into it a bit more of a theme of like lament and hope than perhaps Flourishing had. So.
Where do you do most of your writing? Because I picture, like, when I think of a poet or like someone writing, you know, a book like this, that they've got some sort of like log cabin with like some fabric draped around the room, hanging over things. I don't know.
Can I guess?
Like
Are you in a hammock, eh?
candles. There'll be
in a hammock.
candles around and
sounds like
beads. There'll be
mayhem.
beads in there. I don't know why. This is what I picture. But or do you just end up writing stuff on your phone, like when you're just anywhere? Or how does that kind of work?
Most of my poems I would say I'm most inspired when I'm out in nature. So, but a lot of the poems, particularly in my first book, were written at East-West College, so the college where I work, and we actually live there as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a beautiful campus, so I find myself just being in the garden, finding a spot, not a hammock. I think I'll probably tumble out. But I also handwrite all my poems. So
Okay, right.
I can't quite do the notes on the phone thing. I do try at times, but
It doesn't seem very poetic, does it? No.
It just doesn't flow in the same way as if I have a pen in my hand.
Yeah.
So you finish. How long does it take you to write a script, a poem? How do you know when it's finished? And do you ever go back and go, okay, well, I need to change that? You know, does that work for a poet like that, or is it just as soon as it's down on paper, that's where I leave it because that's where I was at that time?
Yeah, I think it depends on the poem, but most of the poems that I write they're all pretty simple as well. They're not overly complicated poems, but I usually will write them in one sitting. Usually like between 5 and 10 minutes each poem would be. And when I'm writing, like I try not to edit as I go. So I try to just let it flow freely, and then I always figure there's time for editing later on.
So you do go back and you change it up a little bit?
Well, so
You don't sit there with
Kind
like
of.
a thesaurus being like, what's a more creative way to say it?
I mean, sometimes I'll use a thesaurus because I find myself using some words like over and over again.
Oh,
and
okay,
I just
right.
like, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
You've got to express
we
it
need a-
differently.
yeah.
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 But I try not to use words that are overly complicated because I want it to be accessible for everyday people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be pretentious in my writing. So yeah.
Too high level, highbrow poetry.
Yeah, that's just not who I am as a person. So
Yeah.
I don't want my writing to be like that either.
What do you want people to feel when they pick up your book? What is it that you want them to take away?
Yeah, I really want people to be encouraged. and encouraged in their faith journey. And also just, I guess, I really want my poems to be able to resonate with people. So kind of like the Psalms, when you read the Psalms, like they resonate so deeply with the human experience, yet they also point people towards God. And so I think that's my whole kaupapa in writing, is to encourage others to maybe give words and help them articulate things they have going on deep inside but haven't been able to articulate before, and leave them with that theme of hope, like God is hope.
Awesome.
Do you get feedback from people? Because I know this is, and we're going to talk about the book launch coming up this weekend, but you've previously already got a book of poems out there. And I know you said before that it goes around the world for people. But do you hear back from people that have got it and read it, or do they contact you at all, or you sort of just don't really know?
Yeah, no, I get a lot of really, really kind feedback from around the world. I think, so before I started writing writing on social media. So I started a Facebook page, and that kind of just really took off. And so there's been so much feedback that has come from people around the world. But I do have a cool story that yesterday one of my friends sent me a photo, like he's over in the Middle East at the moment and staying with like a family that are hosting him. And he sent me a picture of my book, my first book, Flourishing, on someone's counter and on the other side of the world in the Middle East, in a Muslim country. And like, this is just
how cool.
How cool is that? Like,
wow.
just to know that it's these are words that are encouraging people towards God, but it's kind of, because it's done through poetry, I think it's done in a way that is accessible for non-Christians to be able to pick up as well and still be encouraged by it.
That's cool.
Congratulations, Sena, on that. Yeah, on the same note though, you do you have best friends and family say, Sena, how about you change this word to this word?
Oh, yes.
You have those ones?
And you say, thanks, I'll think about it.
No, so before I published both of these books, I had one of my friends from East West edit all of my poems. And so there was a lot of feedback that came in. And then, I've had other people go through and give their feedback as well. And it's really good, because I want what I present to the world to be as polished as possible. So it's good to get feedback.
Okay, well, there's a launch coming this Saturday. Before we go and talk more about this launch and specific details on it, do you want to read to us one of your favorite poems from the book?
Yeah, do you do performance poetry? Is that a thing as well?
Is that spoken word?
I haven't really done it, only at events that I've hosted.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be fun, but I think there's so much in the delivery of poems.
Yeah.
And I think, like, as you look through my poems, they're quite, I don't know, not somber, but maybe quite low key and, anyways. But yes, I would love to read a poem.
Yeah, I want you to pay close attention to this, bro, and maybe you could use some of these tips for when you write it up.
You better will. You watch
I
out.
will warn you, though, there's no rhyming, so I don't know if that's... Yeah.
Okay, I'll try it tomorrow.
Some people think that's not real poetry.
This is proper poetry.
Away you go, Sena.
All right, this one is called Mamai in this whenua. There's pain in this land. There's mamai in this whenua, so please tread gently, travel slowly. Let the sand get stuck in your toes and let the waves lap at your feet. But pick up your rubbish as you go. By all means, linger in his creation, but remind yourself that you are called to steward this well. Kaitiakitanga, guard it well. Light footsteps. Let your legacy be one of gentle, indelible marks that leave traces of God's fingerprints wherever you go. There's mamai in this whenua, so please, tread gently.
Oh,
Nice.
It's from her very own book. It's called Soul Scribbles. The launch of Soul Scribbles is happening this coming Saturday, the 27th of April. Where and what time?
Yes. So the launch is happening on Saturday afternoon. So it'll be from like 3 p.m. and it's happening in the Waikato. So if you're there, it will be at East West College. So the awesome place where I get the privilege to live and work. So it seems very fitting that I'll be just hosting people at my home, really. It'll be an afternoon tea. It's free to attend. Obviously, my books will be available for purchase. Yeah, would love you to come along. You can find out about
Yeah.
it on my website, so hermustardfaith.com, or on Facebook if you look up Her Mustard Faith.
Her Mustard Faith on Facebook and online for all the deets. This coming Saturday, the 27th of April, East West College. If you know all the deets, or we'll probably have a video of our chat with Sena online before the end of the week, so you'll be able to catch up with her online as well. Sena, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your beautiful book with us. Hopefully people can go out. When is it available? Is it available now?
Yeah, so I have just published it online,
Oh, yeah.
and I've got copies, but I probably won't start sending orders out until I've had the physical launch.
The launch.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Look out for it in stores. It's called Soul Scribbles. Sena, Steele. Thanks again, Sena. Take care. God bless.
Thank you.